America is going through one of its deepest purges in our lifetimes. I've heard people try to say that spirituality and politics don't mix, and that's just not the case, at least not for me. What we're experiencing now is the accumulation of years and years of injustice coming to a head, and it spans beyond just politics. This is a war for humanity with a false god at the center of it, and that inevitably makes it spiritual. We can't continue to hide behind labels or rationale when it comes to our participation in the liberation of ourselves and this country. Yes, it can get uncomfortable. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Everything begins with energy, and what I believe we're seeing now is the physical representation of what many of us experienced spiritually over the last 5 years. See, many of us went to war. We were at war with ourselves. We were faced with our darkness, our addictions, our glaring habits that kept revealing how little we care about ourselves. We were faced with the consequences of our choices and the revelation of our greatest fears. We battled between who we were expected to be and who we actually are. We battled the limitations we accepted as truth. We battled the lies we believed, and we battled having to let go of all the armor that kept us safe up until this point, because we realized that our greatest weapon was within. We were at war. I felt it every day. I saw it with everyone around me. We were all exhausted soldiers crossing paths on different battlefields, encouraging each other when we could, reviving each other when we needed it, and reminding each other that those glimmers of hope are worth fighting for. That it's not all in your head. That the reason you can't stop thinking about it is because it already exists, and the version of you that's living that life is whispering to you to get closer. So you keep fighting just to get a little closer, because you knew it was right there. You knew the life you were living was not the life you wanted for yourself. You also knew the life you had was uniquely designed to help you become the person that you are now. The soldier who somehow made it through it all and became a better person for it. You finally came out of the other end, and now you're met with all this shit. I know. Now listen, to quote Ruth from Ozark, I don't know shit about fuck, but I do be knowing sometimes, so here's what I think is happening from a spiritual lens. The spiritual war was already fought and won. What you're experiencing now is the physical reality catching up to the energetic shift. And in order to do that, things need to be exposed. There was no other administration that could do that so blatantly. Our current president is a very polarizing individual. He had to be. And regardless of how you feel about him, look at what we're learning about our country and the people in power. We always said Age of Aquarius is the exposure era, and with Pluto in Aquarius for the first time since the American Revolution, the math is mathing. We can continue to look back in longing at an outcome that didn't happen, or we can accept what it is and get to work. Now, I don't say all that to dismiss the very real and very understandable fear that many of us are feeling at this time. I share that because I don't want you to forget everything you just fought so hard to embody. You are being trained for this. You are not experiencing this alone, and you're not the only one who sees through the facade. We have been living in the upside down for generations, a liminal space that kept us caught somewhere in the middle of two worlds. While we'd have moments of hope and progress, we were constantly reminded that our world still spawned from a very manipulative and narcissistic energy that cultivated ignorance and distractions well enough so that we'd never do what was necessary, which was question what we were taught. Now the illusions are fading. Are you willing to see the truth? This is the Great Awakening. The people you put on pedestals were false idols. The people you worshipped were false prophets. What you were told is delusional is actually the truth, and what we've accepted as truth is actually delusional. The first sign of that should have been the rooted hatred for humanity, but so many were disconnected from their heart that it mirrored their own hatred, and so they rationalized it. Because if the monster walks like you and talks like you, then you just might be a monster too, and people are too afraid of recognizing the monster inside of them, let alone engaging with it. Meanwhile, those of us who are constantly demonized for having a different way of life, different beliefs, and different perceptions of the world have been fighting for collective liberation. Our individual shadows were faced and integrated, so when this country's collective shadow was unearthed, we would be prepared to help others face it and heal it too. We experienced the death. We started to heal. We faced the devil within each of us, and now the tower is crumbling. A new world awaits, and this one can't be created through fear. This is a time of faith. As you know, 2025 is a 9-year, and 9 is about endings, transformations, and cycles. It is the snake that delivers forbidden knowledge. It is the process of shedding skin in order to be reborn. But it's also a number of spirituality, compassion, wisdom, and alchemy. It's Shakti and Shiva slithering up the spine and uniting at your crown. It is the Kundalini awakening. It is turning pain into power and lessons into blessings. Watch God work through humanity. Watch God work through you. And make sure to remember what you are about to witness. That is something I wrote February 4th, 2025, called "This is America's Biggest Ego Death" on my Substack. If you resonated with that, join us, returntoself.me.